about to witness one of the biggest managerial downgrades in Premier League history. Can you hear that? That is the sound of a massive mistake. This has to be one of the most underwhelming appointments ever, because Brentford are replacing Thomas Frank with their set-piece coach, Keith. I'm sorry, but anybody called Keith should be working in the library. But yes, Keith Andrews is now a Premier League manager. What? Hello, I am the Irish guy, and seriously, what? Don't get it twisted, okay? I want Keith to do well. I do. I want an Irish manager to succeed in the Premier League because, lads, we do not produce good managers. I was made abundantly clear by a 9-month search for Stephen Kenny's successor as the next Republic of Ireland boss. The FA were scouring the world for a competent Irishman, and then we landed on an Icelandic dentist. Andrews was one of the candidates and was clearly told he wasn't good enough. But, lads, is it that Irish managers are not good, or are they not given a chance? Because here's a shocking stat. The last time a Premier League club appointed a guy with an Irish accent, it was Aston Villa with David O'Leary in 2003. May 2003, just a few months after we all had to painfully sit through Kangaroo Jack. I saw it twice in cinemas because we weren't old enough to see The Matrix. 2003 is so long ago. I don't know why the Premier League is such an aversion to appointing anyone with an Irish twang, so I am happy to see Andrews in a top job. I mean, if you listen to him speak, he sounds more Dublin than Dustin the Turkey, so I want him to succeed, but oh boy, I have to say, this is more of a risk than going on a cinema date and choosing to stick laxatives in your popcorn. Yeah, she's gonna be holding her nose before the third act of Freaky Friday 2. I really want Andrews to do well and to prove that yes, Irish managers are not complete dingbats who have the tactics of Swiss cheese. They need a chance. Come on, if you Google the greatest Irish managers of all time, number 4 is Joe Kinnear. No top 10 of all-time managers from your nation should ever be including someone who was sacked by the Faroe Islands. So I want Andrews to be magnificent. I want this to be an inspired decision. And yes, you better believe that I'm going to be cheering on Brentford all year. Well, for as long as he's in a job. But this is a dreadful appointment. It is. Don't lie. I don't think a Premier League club should ever be taking a punt on a manager who has zero experience before. When was the last time a Premier League club did that? Bournemouth with Gary O'Neill, and before him, Tottenham with Tim Sherwood. Both were sacked at the end of the season. So when was the last time that an inexperienced Premier League rookie actually survived his first summer in the job and was still there for the second Premier League campaign? It was Gareth Southgate at Middlesbrough in 2006. That is the last successful rookie with zero experience was given a Premier League job and did okay. But I mean, did he do okay? Because yes, he lasted 3 years as Borough boss, but I mean, he took over the Europa League finalists. 3 years later, he was sacked with them at the championship bin. And nowadays, most English people, when they hear the name Southgate, oh, they cringe harder than if they were to see Helen Mirren rapping. These first-time gaffers don't work in the Premier League. A manager's first ever job is going to be completely littered with mistakes. Unless you're Guardiola. You need to make these gaffes and mistakes away from the scrutiny and pressure of the top flight. Otherwise, it can ruthlessly gobble you up like steak pie. Andrews is going to make some horrendous mistakes. Now that he's the Brentford head honcho, I know he will. You can smell it. And not small, tiny mistakes. Oh no, he will make some massive ones. Because Keith Andrews isn't an emotional guy. Seriously, Google his name. He's been mouthing off for the last 10 years. Complaining about being disrespected during his playing career, and then he was literally calling the Republic of Ireland team clueless. And even recently, he said he was jealous of women. The Irish women's team, for context. Nah, I don't think he's whacking on lipstick at night. But maybe, I don't know him personally. But yeah, even though Southgate has since become a sir, seriously, he is the least intimidating knight I've ever seen. I mean, if this was the 16th century, no way he's rescuing princesses from dragon-guarded towers. Oh no, he'd be the type of knight who's only there to make the queen her sandwiches. And Andrews is a much less exciting managerial appointment than Southgate was. Because at least Southgate has been a cup-winning Middlesbrough captain, a modern-day legend of the club. The fans could get on board with that, but Keith, he's got no connection to the club. He was a massive journeyman player and yet he never ticked off Brentford. He played for everyone but Brentford. And he's only been at Brentford as a coach for a year, being brought in to be the set-piece coach. Lads, Brentford could have the most beautiful corners in the world. I don't care. I don't care if actual love hearts start protruding from the Brentford players' eyes when they had the ball. I don't care if their corners turn the sky pink. You should never be giving a managerial job to the set-piece guy. Never. I mean, do you know who your set-piece coach is? Because Andrews got this Brentford gig after the previous guy went to Chelsea. Bernardo Cueva. He sounds like a villain from Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean, here's the names of some other set-piece coaches in the Premier League right now. Raise your hand when you recognize their names. Austin McPhee, Michael Angerschmidt, Antonius Lemanakis, Carlos Vicens, Gianni Vio, Andreas Georgson, Jack Wilson. They're all about as famous as your cat. Would you be comfortable with any of those names as your manager? Lads, I didn't even realize Mila Jedinak was the set-piece coach of Spurs last season. I mean, that is the name I do recognize with nearly 200 games under the belt for Crystal Palace, but I had no idea he was at Tottenham with Ange. And I would imagine if Spurs had given him the job this summer, then Tottenham fans would have squealed like pregnant pigs. I mean, to be fair, I do recognize the name of Sunderland set-piece coach Michael Proctor. Yeah, he's the bloke who, during a Premier League match with Sunderland, scored 2 own goals in 5 minutes. And he's the guy advising his team how to defend. Oh wow, Sunderland are doomed. Andrews has done nothing. Absolutely zilch. This is someone whose fingerprints were all over one of the worst Premier League campaigns in history after being dragged into the backroom team midway through Sheffield United's miserable 16-point season. I'm sorry, but whatever he was tasked to do, it didn't work. Because as soon as Chris Waddle walked through that door, the Blades were worse than ever. I'm really not sure what Keith was there to do, but he might as well have spent those 6 months baking cookies for his mum-in-law, because whatever he did on that training pitch, it did not work. Lads, I remember when Paul Ince took the Blackburn Rovers job in 2008 on the sheer strength of his name. I mean, that man was so out of his depth. This was literally the extent of a tactical game plan. It's just a crude drawing of the penalty area with the word shoot written on it. It was like what I would imagine you'd get if you were to ask a 9-year-old to explain the rules of football. 2008, for some reason, was Paul Ince mania, because despite being obviously terrible at Blackburn and being just weeks from the sack anyway, he was nearly ripped out of Ewood Park by Newcastle. Honestly, if he hadn't taken the Blackburn job in the summer, then I'm convinced he would have been the successor to King Kevin Keegan. Which is nuts. Yeah, he felt inexperienced. But even he just been off the back of doing well at MK Dons. But Andrews, he didn't even get that. Because he literally interviewed for the MK Dons job in April, and they said no, appointing Paul Warren instead. And now Andrews has a Premier League job months later? How? Why? What? Who? I mean, also, as a cute little coincidence, Ince's first signing as Blackburn boss was Keith Andrews. Oh, isn't that spooky? It's like an episode of Lost. Ince made Andrews, and Andrews is the next Ince. This is what happens when a Premier League club tries to be too clever and goes too hipster. You're taking your Premier League club security for granted. When you lose your top-class manager, get another one. To foolishly think that Brentford has stayed up for so long because of the structure of the club. No, that's so naive to think. They're acting as if Frank was just a face. That's all he was. That they didn't really need him. And another Brentford employee can just smoothly pop into his shoes and drive the club forward. No. If you lose a top-class coach, get another one. Or at the very least, somebody who's managed a game of football in his life. Just one match. Why not go for Kieran McKenna? Like, don't get it wrong, I think KMK was massively overrated last summer. Links to Man United and Chelsea were just stupid. I mean, it's like when Tottenham thought about replacing Jose Mourinho with Scott Parker. Absolutely ridiculous and would have aged like Joey, your friends. But hey, McKenna is worth a risk at Brentford. Because yeah, it is still a risk, because he's failed in the Premier League, but he's shown enough managerial quality so far. 2 promotions in a row with Ipswich. Yes, give him the Brentford job. But yeah, another realistic out-of-work coach. Why not ask Ange Postecoglou if he wants to get back in a job? Maybe make an ambitious play for Thiago Motta, Edin Terzic, or Marco Rose? But Andrews, it's insane, actually insane. But this is the real reason I'm going to be rooting for Brentford this season. Lads, Damien Duff is a legend. I'll be honest, before I discovered the joys of Van Arfa, Damien Duff was my favourite player when I was a little boy. I mean, when he joined Newcastle United from Chelsea, it felt like kissing a unicorn. Yeah, 3 years later, when he scored the own goal to relegate my favourite team, that felt like kissing your gran. But still, in 2021, he took the Shelbourne job for his first managerial role after a coaching stint at Celtic, and he admitted he was terrified. His voice was shaking in the press conference. He looked like he was going to be hilariously out of his depth. No. 3 years later, he wins this club, their first title for nearly 20 years, and then tried to FaceTime Jose Mourinho.
If he doesn't answer, I'll put Monkey in the whip tomorrow, yeah? Yeah! Let's see what he thinks of me.
He's like, who's this?
Training!
Oh, the foreign ringtone.
It's going to be late.
Oh, he didn't pick up. That looked more awkward than any scene from Meet the Parents. It's like trying to convince your mates you've got a famous friend. But yeah, Duff is like the Irish Ruben Amorim, an absolute superstar of a young coach who's ended a 20-year title drought, and also another Mourinho apprentice. But it kind of shows what Irish football is right now. That he actually just quit his job there, just days before an actual Champions League clash. I mean, don't get too excited, it was only against Linfield, but still. He gave up the Champions League anthem to probably take a backroom job at Brentford. Think how little of an ego Duff must have to agree to trade being an official Champions League manager this summer to a backroom B, taking orders from a rookie, a complete rookie. Duff is the superstar name in Irish football. This is someone who can walk into any pub in the nation and get free pints all night. Keith Andrews is lucky if he gets a discount on a packet of crisps. Seriously, this guy is less famous than the bus driver and dog. My mum won't know who Keith Andrews is. He's the type of celebrity where if you know, you know. I mean, seriously, pop him into the I'm a Celebrity Junker for even a minute, and you'll have confused viewers wondering why they've let an obvious postman squirm his way onto the telly. Duff is a World Cup star with 100 Ireland caps. And he's an actual title-winning manager. He's proven himself to be a manager, an actual manager. And yet he's now the one fetching Andrews his milk? Wow, I am so blown away and impressed by his complete lack of ego. He's ditched his job to help out his mate. And maybe he's doing this because he knows that Brentford like a succession plan. Because Brentford can't be bothered with hiring strangers. Honestly, I think the chairman must be socially awkward because they only appoint people they know. They like to keep it in the family. And not in a Norwich way. Brentford just like appointing the assistant coach. They did that with Mark Warburton, Lee Carsley, Thomas Frank, and now Keith Andrews. So maybe this is Duff's way of sneakily holding out for the Brentford job in the future. Maybe he's only coming in to try and bring Keith down. Maybe he's only there to put poison in his cornflakes. I don't know. But if he really is just there to be a good little boy and take orders from his unproven mate, it is weird. It'd be like if Amorim had quit Sporting Lisbon after his first title win to then just help out some former Benfica teammate who's taking his first baby steps into management. It's just a little weird. Look, I don't think Brentford will get relegated because I think Keith Andrews will be sacked soon. I mean, really, really soon. And it's going to be a mighty shame. We haven't seen an out-of-their-depth manager truly embarrassed in the Premier League since Frank de Boer was binned off at Crystal Palace after just 4 Premier League matches. To be fair, they didn't score a goal, but it did seem a little harsh. I mean, they only lost 1-0 at Liverpool, but that was ridiculously shameful and embarrassing to get hauled off that early. It's a bit like being asked to sing at your school's talent show, and you're so bad that you're actually dragged off by security mid-song before you even get to the key change of single ladies. I learned those dance moves for nothing. But yeah, I think Andrews is going to be another one of those. It'll be an embarrassing early sack, and I'm going to say this. I think he'll be gone before October. Come on, he's got Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, okay, Sunderland, but then Chelsea, Fulham, and Manchester United. They'll be in the relegation zone. Absolutely, I have no doubt about that. Probably 19th in the table. If they're not in the relegation zone by October the 1st, then I'll eat another 50 bananas. I don't think he'll be in the dugout to take on Pep at the start of October. Absolutely no. What, an out of his depth corner kick coach trying to pit his brains against the best football brain in the world? What part of that would make any bit of sense? I'm sorry, but I can see the early sack in September, probably after a home defeat to Man United. And when he does go, please Brentford, do yourselves a favour and get yourselves a proper manager this time. But still, yes, I want Keith and Damien to rip it up. I want nothing more than to be proven wrong. I really do. So, come on Brentford, please do well. We need an Irish manager to do something. Anything. Let's gobble up another one then. Oh, this one just feels really soft. That's not too bad actually. I'm getting kind of used to this. Anyway, that's the interview. Let me know in the comments below what do you think. All right, let me know. Am I completely wrong? Hopefully. Okay, hopefully. But let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.